Good evening, everyone. My name is Wamcolt, and tonight we will be talking about my odd jobs. More specifically, my odd job we will be talking about tonight is working at UPS. I had a brief tenure working at UPS. I did some things that, I think anyone would do. I've made some mistakes involving crustaceans, and we'll get into that later. But first, I need to sort of explain why I was working at UPS. It was summer. I was out of school. I wasn't on the weird school schedule yet. And I quit a job because I thought I had another lined up, and they basically fell flat on me, right? So I was working third shift, so any normal job with the same pay would be great. And basically, the job that hired me was for an app, was for a startup, and they basically told me to kick rocks until the fall. So I was sort of stuck in this limbo position, which is a very annoying thing that many people have probably experienced. And what makes it worse is they act like you're the bad guy. Like somehow in all of this, it's like, oh, we're really looking for a candidate who can start in the fall. Say that. Why are you leading me on? Why are you like, what is this, a dating app? I mean, seriously, I'm just trying to get money so I can buy stupid shit. And all of a sudden, they're basically acting like every other person on a dating app. They lead you on. They're full of red flags. When's the last time they passed an audit? All these companies. But then, if you don't put one comma, or if you don't use like the XYZ format on your resume, kiss the job goodbye. But then if you do that, kiss the job goodbye. It's a lose-lose situation. And that's why I hate applying to jobs and dealing with all that, because it's this whole world of basically just like bullshit. It's actually just who can bullshit faster and better. That's all it is, right? But besides that, I got past the bullshit by having an IT certification working at the UPS store. For some reason, they had a technical requirement. I think that's so old people didn't work there. I'm pretty sure it was just an ageist thing, because I never fixed anything at the UPS store. I told them I had an IT certification, and as soon as I said that, their mouth shut up about it. But they were kind of like having this little thing around. I forget what the requirement was, but it was like ability to prove that you're proficient in technology, which just seems ageist. Like they don't want like the 80-year-old at the cashier thing, because anyone can do that, at least if you're younger. I don't know. So basically, I ended up working there, and I ended up opening. Okay, and first of all, I wasn't in a truck. Okay, this was a UPS store that was in it's in one of those like outside shopping malls that aren't complete, right? So it'll be like, I know this one specifically, I think it's across from a Target. So it's like this giant Target parking lot, and then you have this row of like 4 stores, and the UPS is the one on the back. It unironically looks like a place you would buy. Like the stores next to it don't look real. They look like a place you'd buy in like GTA to launder your money or something. I never have seen anyone go in them, and that part of my brain and stuff like that always thinks about how funny it is that there are sidewalks there. Because who's using them? No one ever goes there. I always think it's really interesting, or I might start a series about this, but it's always interesting where you live in a place like the burbs, like the suburbs, and you try to follow the walkability of some paths, because it doesn't make any sense. So for context, if you did follow the paths that this place, it just leads into a parking lot, which you're like, that's where it's supposed to go, Womp Cult. No, like it leads into a traffic lane. Like, I don't know. I think it's funny, I guess, because they put it in a really arbitrary spot. And they could have put it next to the Target or next to the other plaza, but they didn't. It's this own little island, which is funny. Opening the store every day was great, besides 2 things. So basically, I was the opener, and I'd have to open. Also, I never worked more than like a 6-hour day or something. I don't know what the federal limit is, but we were just below that, so they wouldn't give us breaks. Which I'm not complaining about. I just think it's hilarious, because then for one day you need 3 different people or something just to finish it without any of them getting a break. And it complicates everyone, because it's It's like you're working a 3-hour shift. Like, who works a 3-hour shift? I don't know. It was something I was never used to. It was basically just when you would have a break, you just leave. You just go home. Like, see ya. We don't want to pay for your break or whatever. I don't know. Which is more weird because a majority of the places I've worked at, they never pay for your break. They're like, oh, but your lunch is unpaid, but like, we're giving you the hour. Like, they act like they're like giving you the favor by giving you the hour. I don't know. It's kind of hilarious because I've been in some places where I'm like, can I just work through lunch and you pay me? And they're like, that's federally illegal. Are you trying to harm yourself? And they like freak out on you. But then if you flip the script on them, they're like, we're doing you a favor. You have to do me the favor. What are you doing? It's like going to get your car fixed, and the person who says they're going to work on it is wearing an all-white suit. Nothing is getting fixed. If anything, stuff is going to get broken. But anyways, so I'd open the store every morning, and then I'd leave at about like whatever. But opening was great because I basically didn't do anything. Like, it was one of those jobs where, and if you find them, you're so lucky to stay in them, where it's like a nothing burger. Like, sure, there were times it got busy in the afternoon towards the end of my shift, but the first like 3 hours, it would just usually be me and someone else, and I would just do whatever. Like, if I had to call someone, I'd call someone. If I had to move packages, I'd move packages. It was the best. I think about that place a lot, in that store. And it was very nostalgic too, because they had this desk and a bunch of people have written and drawn and like graffitied on it who used to work there. And I was thinking about how working at this UPS makes me feel like I'm in a movie, because like, this is my Waiting. If you've ever seen Waiting, it's a great movie. If you haven't, go watch it. But it's like, I felt like this was my Waiting, except it's with the post office and I'm here, and you know, I'm also in college, so it kind of makes sense, and you know. But if you haven't ever seen Waiting, it basically takes place during an entire day of working at a restaurant. That's the whole plot of the film. And it felt similarly to that, just because of certain things. One of my coworkers would only play like 2000s rock, and he's like, this is the only appropriate things, even though it wouldn't be appropriate, which was funny. But working there was cool. They made a lot of cardboard things, like swords and stuff. I have a lot of cardboard. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wasn't in a truck, I was just there. And then I'd have to like restock the tape that no one buys, to the point where there was dust on it. Because they have like a little section of like buying pencils or whatever. Yeah. So it was actually like no one comes in there, or there'd be like an old head. Like, let's say we open at 8, it'd be like 7:40, and I'd be like going in to unlock the place, and he'd be there standing for the package. And I unlock the door, and he tries to go in. I'm like, I can't help you yet. We open at 8. And this is like before I even have like, I have to turn off an alarm. Like, you know, like I have to I have to do things in this building. I have to like, you know, turn the lights on, turn the alarm off so they don't think I'm breaking in, like set up the register, log into the software, like really basic things you do when you're opening, like open stuff up to the public, like whatever. And this guy would just be like, why can't you take my package? Why can't you take it? And it's like, dude, just come at 8. Like, what? You got a hot date in a half hour? You're 90. Be for real. Like, come on. I don't know. It was so amusing to me, because the other thing too, the best part is with some of those people who would wait there early and act like it's on me, like I'm the reason I'm slowing down their day. They'd wait in their car for like a half hour. They don't have anywhere to be. They just want to get stuff done, which to a point I respect, but after a while it gets annoying. So, what are some funny stories that happen at UPS? Well, of course, I have to tell you, the most memorable one was the lobster one. So, UPS, there's basically two kinds of packages. You go and you say, I need it here. They fill out all the information, yada, yada, yada. Or you can do it online with a prepaid label. And all you have to do is walk in, drop it, and leave. It's already paid for. We don't care. We'll scan it, put it in the stack. This one morning, this guy comes in, leaves it. No marking on the box. It's a regular, it basically looks like a rectangular shoebox. It's brown, whatever. Leaves it. I go, have a good day, whatever. I pick it up. Like, that's weird. It feels like there's like water in here or something. give it to my coworker. My coworker's like, yeah, feels like there's water in here. That's kind of weird. Maybe it's like a slime thing, like for like a kid or something. We're like, oh, okay, whatever. And she's like, well, it seems pretty strong, so like just put it on the bottom of the stack anyway, whatever. I'm like, cool. Put it on the bottom of the stack, don't think about it. All day, do my work, whatever. Later that night I went to Boston, okay? So I'm in Boston and in a, like I'm hanging out at this apartment. I get a text on my phone from my boss saying, hey, Womp Call, we don't ship animals. And I go, yeah, I know. I know we don't ship animals. Like, because the thing is people will try to ship all sorts of stuff, as you'll come to learn. And my boss was like, well, why'd you do this then? And he basically sends a picture. And so apparently in this thing that was basically the size of a shoebox, but like cut in half, like it was even thinner than that. I want to say it was like a case for a wine bottle or something. There's a fucking lobster in there, dude. I'm not even joking. And since it was on the bottom of the stack and not being refrigerated, it was basically rotting in the box. And then since it's on the bottom of the stack of all the packages, and it's basically a cardboard box with water in it, can you guess what happens next, Swamp Cup viewer? Does it A, the lobster breaks out and attacks someone because it doesn't know where it is? B, it falls over, breaks everywhere, and nothing else happens? Or C, they never found out it was fucking B, okay? It's B. It fell out everywhere, apparently. Somehow the lobster like got so decomposed to the point where like it was basically parts of itself. So basically, what ended up happening towards the closing of the day when the stack hit really high is this thing just goes off like a little lobster bomb, soaks the entire carpet. It's all carpet because it's a UPS store. Why would they have hardwood floors? They don't have that kind of money. Soaks the carpet. There's dead lobster bits everywhere, and then they're thinking, who the hell rang this in? Whatever. Then they see my fucking name, and then they explain that to me, and I'm like, I won't do that again, but it was also a prepaid thing, and they're like, yeah, we'll talk to you tomorrow. I go in tomorrow, and they're basically like, so that wasn't your fault, but you also should have known. And I was like, what? And they're like, yep. And I was like, okay, never happened again. Another time, this guy came in with a hose and wanted to ship it, except it was still full of water. So it was just dripping water in the carpet, like in the store. And he's like, yeah, and he's like trying to figure out the dimensions of it. I felt like I was being punked. He's trying to figure out like what box it'll fit in, and as he's moving the hose around to like measure it with his arms or whatever, like how you do with rope, he's just spilling fucking water all over our carpet to the point where I was like, can you go outside and drain the hose? Can you go outside and go drain your hose, you gooner? Huh? You gonna go edge outside? Yay! That's what I said to him. So I got fired. No, but and he's like, he was like, and I'm like, what do you mean? Go outside, fucking spill. How about I come into where you work with sopping wet shoes and just walk all over your desk? How's that, pal? Like, with the little plopping, like, like, how would you like that? That was the one thing about that store is it was chill. It was a very like mellow thing, but when something happened, it was like you're rolling like it. Like if a goblin came into that store, it was like, where I'm from the Goblin Empire, and I hate that you guys use all our cardboard. I'd believe it. I'd be like, hey man, I just work here, But I'd believe him because there's so much weird shit that would happen in that store. Something else is there's this regular where they owned a business, and I don't know what, but they'd always buy like car stuff. And this was kind of similar to what I was talking about earlier, where they're an old head, so they'd stand there and just yap. Like, to the point where we'd be like, okay, we need to close the door. Like, if they came in 2 hours before closing, they'd be there before closing, unless everyone went in the back and did it, basically. Which is like, I don't know what the power dynamic of that is there, but it's weird because it's our store and somehow we're not in charge. The old heads come in and they're like, I I remember back in my day, and they're always on some bullshit. Um, that's probably fed to them by like some news media. And the worst part is it's not, it's never real. It's never like a real world issue ever. Once you get past a certain age with them, it's just like the dumbest. Like it's like, did you know? Like they'll come in, they'll like they do like the stretch. They're like, back in my day, we want to give the women library cards, and you're like, what? Like, you're buying a book, and they'd be like, how much do I owe you for the book? And they won't talk about it. They won't talk about it, and they'll say some like out of pocket shit like that, or they'll come in and because that's like, or they'll come in and they'll be like, you know, they're trying to make Mr. Potato Head trans. Can you fucking believe that? No one should be able to remove his parts. And you're sitting there and you're like, I'm getting paid like $14 an hour. Why do I have to listen to this? Like, where in the training manual do I have to convince an old person that I don't think they're trying to make the Potato Head toys from Toy Story trans? And if they are, don't you have bigger issues to deal with, dude? Like, I don't even know how that would affect me as an American. Like, if tomorrow, if Hasbro, whoever makes the toys, is like, guys, this entire time the Potato Heads have been trans. Who gives a fuck? I mean, seriously, what the fuck? And then on top of that, I swear sometimes they do it just because I feel like if I worked at like a company like that and I'm like, man, my boss is being a dick, I'm gonna announce that Mr. Potato Head's being trans so I can like drop the stock price. That'll get him. I swear it has to be something like that. Because I don't know where these people get their media from, but oh my god, they come in and they're always spewing some bullshit, and then you're sitting there and it's like this. It's like, yeah, oh wow, really? Can you just insert your card? Oh, so close. The chip's actually on the other end. Yep. Yeah, happens to me too. Oh really? Haven't heard about that. Oh really? They're destroying a kid's playground and gonna replace it with a Hamas statue? Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely seems real. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? It's always some bullshit like that, and you just have to like shake your head like they're like an actual child. It's like when a child finds out the word why and they keep saying it, they're like, I don't know. It's to a point where I can't explain anymore. Same thing where it's like, listen, man, I only have so many head shakes, and like, oh, really? Is in me? Like, and the other thing too is like, you can't outright agree with them, okay? Because I know that used to be a strategy. You know what the issue is with that? They're like seagulls, where once one knows where there's food, they all know where there's food. If that old person comes in and you start blatantly agreeing, like, yeah, I can't believe they're making fucking the Hamas statue on top of the playground and Mr. Potato Head trans and giving women library cards, then they'll be like, hey, did you know the UPS on blah 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 street's pretty all right? Yeah, yeah. And then they all come in. They all come in and they're like, hey, did you know that they're making the boys wear the Hello Kitty shirts in public school? Like, it's always some weird shit. So anyways, now that I've described the sort of people who do come in who are like that, basically this guy would come in and would be like that always. It would never leave, and it would always be holding like a quart of motor oil or like a really awkward car part, and we'd have to force him out of the store. That's what we do to all the little old people. No, but it was actually weird. There was another time too where someone came in and they were trying to like, I don't know what it was. It was like a duck statue, but we had to do like a custom job. And at UPS, they have a thing where it's like box like specialists, where it's like they basically know, since they've worked there for so long, they know the exact dimensions of the box and they know how to Frankenstein them together really well, which is like, okay, cool. Um, that makes sense. I mean, not every box is perfect, right? You want to save room, sure. But there were some things where it was like, what the fuck? I mean, seriously, it was like this swan statue. It was like, why are you shipping this? Why are you shipping this? Ever, 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 ever. Um, The other thing too is they were always like, you need to write down exactly what they're shipping. Like you need to give good descriptions in case it's a bomb or something. And when I first got there, I really did take that seriously until I remembered one, where I live, and two, the fact that there's like a million other agencies and other checkpoints along the way. So why is the minimum wage like postal worker doing that? Obviously, if a package is like suspicious, I'm putting it aside or whatever. But considering that the like U.S. mail people are probably like the biggest drug distributor in America, if not parts of the world, I don't think I have to worry about it. And if you're confused where I get that from, because if you ship with the government, all of your rights get included. Yay! If you ship with someone like UPS and you get a charge on something, they can just search that shit. Where if it's through the government, it's, oh, I have to respect your rights. Because you can sign away policies. Like I know UPS has a policy where, and this always fucked over anyone going to college, and I felt really bad about it, but I would basically tell people never ship things to your college, because the UPS has a database, and if the address isn't in the database and you go to ship it, and it ships us somewhere where it wants to, you can't do anything about it, and you're out of your money. I know something else that happened was, there was one time where, there's one time my friend came in with his mom and was like, I need this box, and it was super busy, and I was like, here's this box, leave. And they're like, oh, we have to pay for it? And I was like, oh, I forgot about that. But that was cool. It was nice seeing like some people I kind of knew. Something that was more weird though is, there's something very nostalgic about working at a place that you know is going to go out of business. Like, that UPS store isn't going to be there until I die. Surely something else will buy it, or they'll tear down the lot it's in. And there's certain stores like that where I wish I could work in a place like that forever, where it's just chill. It's just nice. It's nostalgic. I don't care if you think I'm lazy. I don't care whatever you think. There's something so nice about working, just like, I don't want to say working a meaningless job, but I really enjoy working weird jobs, and I enjoy the places. And the UPS store was like the perfect like liminal space, because in the morning I get to sit in the dark before I'd have to turn on the lights, and it was just nice. It was so nice. I'd sit on my little stool, or I'd sit back there listening to music, making boxes. It was very cool. The other thing that happened a lot was Temu. This was kind of around the time Temu started to explode, and I felt bad because there's like, probably when I say a group of like 20 to 30 like 70-year-old women, like 50 to 70-year-old women, like basically everyone's grandma, right? Everyone's nana. I feel so bad because they come in, they're like, apparently this company uses slavery, so I'd like to return this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I like found out what Temu was, and they're all Temu packages, and like, apparently they steal your credit card data too. I'm like, oh, that's not good. I don't think you should have that app on your phone. And they're like, well, I deleted it yesterday. I'm like, good for you, ma'am. And I never got why they didn't just stick with Amazon. But that was something that happened like a lot, and it was to a concerning amount. And I remember because there was one night, because this was still in the summer, but before, when I was working third shift, there's one night on my break at my third shift job, I went to a party, and one of my friends was there, and he was like, hey, can you guys use my Temu, it was like his creator code for Temu. And I'm like, first of all, you're not even an influencer, so how did you get this? And second of all, no, I'm not buying anything off Temu. What? But yeah, UPS job was actually awesome. In the summer, it got super hot, but it was cool. And then what basically ended up happening was I quit to go back to school, wanted to go back during Christmas time, the holidays, and then basically didn't. I was like, hey, can I come back during the holidays to work? And they're like, yeah, like that'd be awesome. We'll text you. Never did. So I guess they didn't need me. One more story I'll leave with you guys though is probably my favorite one. There's this guy, you can tell he's like old money. Comes in. He's like, this needs to get to and remember, I'm on the East Coast. He's like, this needs to get to Vegas by the end of today. I'm like, that's not happening. I don't know who you think we are. Like, I'll fly it myself. Like, no, that's not. That's not how we do stuff. Um, and he was like, he was actually like, I didn't watch SpongeBob as a kid, but I know about the joke where it's um, like the most ridiculous request. Um, we won't refuse a guest or something, right? We won't refuse a guest the most ridiculous request. It was like that. It was like he thought we had that sign out because he led with that. Then I'm like, what is it? And he's like, it's a vase. I open up, it looks like a mosaic vase. I'm like, fine, whatever. Turns out it was alcohol. We can't ship alcohol because like the franchise owner or something won't buy the license. I don't know. I don't know. I remember it was that, and where I'm from, a big thing was ammo. They're like, yeah, we can't ship ammo of any kind. So if people come in, we have to immediately refuse them because we could get the store shut down. And I remember I'd always ask them like, why don't you get the licensing for all your stores? Because there's so many people who would come in and say, can I ship ammo or can I ship alcohol? And they'd be like, no, we can't do it. And then we would direct them to like the other, I think it was FedEx. It was either a FedEx or a DHL that was like nearby, and they couldn't do it either. So what would happen is we would get this weird roundabout where where we'd be like, well, you sent me to the FedEx, and the FedEx told me that they can't do it, but you guys can. So now I came back to this one, and I was at the store in the town over, and they said they can't, but you guys can. And then we would just send them to the post office. We'd send them to the post office, and we'd say, you know who can ship your alcohol and firearms and things that explode and things that poison you and cause cancer? The government, because of course they can. But this guy was ridiculous, and he had like pimp jewelry on, which I thought was funny. Because just because like you never see anyone dressed like that anymore. So this kind of older guy, and he's just like he has like unnecessary like he probably had like 3 or 4 gold chains on, like different lengths, whatever. And he was like, this needs to get to Vegas today. Not happening. What is it? A mosaic thing. It's actually alcohol. Okay, fine. So we can't ship it at all. He's like, and then I remember calling him on my phone, and I'm like, we can't ship it at all. Like, no. And he's like, but you can because I gave you that money. He gave me like a $20 tip, and he's like, make sure it gets there. And I was like, all right. It did not. It did not get there. He had to pick it up. I kept the $20 though. There's another time too where this guy, I want to say it was Egypt, he brought in like a wheelbarrow in a giant, it looked like a hospital sheet that was tied up. It was like anything with red 40 in it that you could think of, like unironically, like fruit by the foot, like all those candies. He's like, I want to ship these to Egypt. And we're like, okay, do you have documentation for that? Because we need that. And he's like, no, but like, how much is it? And we're like, $4,000. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I don't think I can do that then. I'm like, all right, so leave, dude. And he has this wheelbarrow and it's like sagging full of candy, like anything red. And I'm like, and we're and then someone I was working with was like, are you trying to sell that in Egypt? He's like, yeah. He's like, okay. First of all, no one is gonna let you do that because it's banned there. That's why online you saw that it makes so much money. And second of all, even if you did get the right paperwork, they can buy that where you're sending it. And he was just like, oh really? And I felt bad because this guy probably saw like something on the internet and was like, dude, I can send like, because that's kind of a big thing here in America, at least, where it's like you have this sort of like, I don't want to say culture stores because that's not accurate, but you have sort of these shops where they're not bodegas or anything. They're their own thing, and their whole thing is we have snacks that are imported. Like we have like snacks from Canada, we have snacks from Japan, we have snacks from Germany, from Denmark, wherever, and they cost a bit more, but there is a market for it for sure. So I guess his thought process was, I'm gonna take a small amount of it. I'm telling you, it had to be at least thousands of dollars worth of candy, because as soon as we told him $4,000, like his actual like grin that was up to his eyebrows just flipped. Like you unbolted it and it just went into a frown and just hung down. And I don't know what his deal was, but he was like, I need the same thing with the Vegas guys. Like, this needs to get to Egypt by the end of the week. I'm like, all right. Like, whenever they would come in and they'd be like, did you know that this payload has to get there by Tuesday? And I'd be like, all right. the best we can do now is Thursday, and that's if you like overnight it or something. They're like, no, 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 there has to be another option. And that was the thing, is they always thought there was another option. Like they always thought, this is what I find hilarious is, remember, UPS store in the corner of a Target parking lot in a small row of stores that basically no one goes into. They always thought we had some sort of secret private jet where if they were either mean or really nice to us, we're like, all right, well, I guess I'll talk to Batman and he'll use the bat copter to fly it to Vegas and make sure it gets there by 6 p.m. today. Since you said please with extra cherries on top, or since you basically almost called me a slur, like that's not how it works, man. Remember, 14 an hour. I just work here. Come on, what are we doing? What's going on? But yeah, that's what working at UPS was like. I think the only other awkward thing was we were the main hub for when people like sell their poop for research or get it done for doctors. Um, so usually we'd have to weigh packages and then I'd have them weigh it, and then my boss explained to me that that's really awkward, and I didn't realize there was shit in the box. So yeah, it is awkward because can you imagine you're doing like a medical thing or something? You go in, hand it to someone who's barely able to vote, and they're like, "Hang on, I just have to weigh this real quick," and they're like, "Let's see how much you shit, huh? Huh, Stinky boy? How much come out? Oh, big one! Yay!" Yeah, that's that's what had to happen. Keep the house. Yeah, but that was basically working at UPS. Um, yeah, if you guys want more content like this, like and subscribe. Um, I'll make more about the weird jobs I've had. Yeah, goodbye.